What about your Department of Peace? What would that do?
I think a lot of people don't know that peace building is a thing. It's not just, oh, peace building. It's an actual thing. It's a set of skills. It's an area of expertise. There are 4 factors which, when present, statistically indicate that there will be a higher level of peace, a higher incidence of peace, and a lower incidence of violence. And this is true whether you're talking about a corner of an American city or you're talking about another corner of the world. Those four factors are higher educational opportunities for children, greater economic opportunities for women, a reduction of violence against women, and an amelioration of unnecessary human despair. Even Donald Rumsfeld, for God's sake, said we need to learn to wage peace. And JFK said, if we don't get rid of war, war will get rid of us. But we have our domestic war zones too. So when I think of a Department of Peace, this applies not only to international situations, but also to domestic situations as well. You know, Martin Luther King said there are 2 kinds of peace, negative peace and positive peace. Negative peace means there's no outright violence, but there's an underlying tension and anxiety. He said positive peace is where there is, he said that can only be predicated on justice and brotherhood. Just like we have a military academy, we should have a peace academy. And in a military academy, you get your education, but you learn the art of waging war when war is what the country feels it needs. And then you pay your country back by then serving in those wars. That is what a Department of Peace will do. There will be a peace academy and people will be trained. It's taking the Peace Corps to a much more evolved place. Peace Corps is now go there and do what you can. We need to play, just like we have war games, we need to have peace games. We need to strategize. As president, I would want to say, okay, what will it take over the next 100 years? How do we create a world? How do we create a world in which 100 years from now, war will be a memory? Now, some people say that's just completely naive. I say what's naive is to think the species will even still exist on this planet if we don't at least try. So we need to reverse engineer. We're going to have to evolve in ways that are way beyond where we are stuck now. But even that, I want to say something. I saw when I ran for president last time, and I feel it this time, the American people are not the problem. The American political system is the problem because our current political establishment sits on the will of the American people. Our government is essentially a system of legalized bribery, and legislator after legislator after legislator does more to acquiesce and to serve the short-term profit maximization goals of their donors than the express will of the people. The express will of the people is not the problem, whether it has to do with the fact that the majority of Republicans as well as Democrats want universal health care. The majority of Republicans as well as Democrats want tuition-free college and tech school. And I believe that the majority of Americans, you even see that right now. You see that with a lot that's going on. You don't have to be a left-winger today to say that the defense budget is too high. So I think that the American people are ready to be led in a far more enlightened direction, including something like a Department of Peace. The problem is not creating the political will. The problem is that we have forces in this country in both parties that do more to suppress the will of the American people than to facilitate its expression.
So what would this Department of Peace do about, let's say, Ukraine?
Well, the Department of Peace would have less to do with what is happening in Ukraine today and more to do with